In the chaos of war, where courage is measured in the heat of battle, one man stood apart, not as a warrior, but as a beacon of hope. When heroes were defined by their kills and others sought glory through destruction, he dedicated himself to preserving life against all odds. This man had the wildest idea that he could walk into the heart of war, serve his country, and still obey the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." And as the bullets flew and the cries of battle grew, he would face a test unlike any other. This is the extraordinary story of Desmond Doss, the only soldier in American history to fight in combat without a weapon. Armed only with his faith and conviction, he would become a hero not through violence, but through unwavering courage and selfless compassion. What does it truly mean to be a hero? Born in 1919 in Virginia, Doss was raised as a strict Seventh-day Adventist, a Christian denomination that observed Saturday as the Sabbath and believed in the imminent second coming of Jesus Christ. This faith emphasized nonviolence and a healthy, typically vegetarian diet. Growing up, Doss held the Bible's teachings close to heart, especially the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." But how do you reconcile your faith when the world is at war? When World War II broke out, he felt conflicted. While he believed the war was just, he could not reconcile killing another human being under any circumstances. Already employed as a joiner at Newport News Naval Shipyard, he joined the United States Army on April 1, 1942, choosing to fulfill his patriotic duty despite having the option to request a deferment. Why do you think some choose to fight for their country, even when it goes against their beliefs? Assigned to the 77th Division, Doss presumed that his classification as a conscientious objector would exempt him from carrying a weapon. However, one commandment resonated with him the most: "Thou shalt not kill." Confused why he was assigned as a rifleman instead of a medic, Doss faced intense pressure from his commanding officer to carry a weapon. They feared he would be more of a liability than an asset in combat. They were all wrong. Interestingly, even medics, who Doss would eventually become, were expected to carry sidearms for self-defense. Under the Geneva Convention, a medic is not prohibited from carrying a weapon, but if they fire their weapon, they lose their status as a medic and can be legitimately targeted by the enemy. Would you be willing to sacrifice your safety for your beliefs? Fortunately, Captain Stanley, the regimental chaplain, understood Doss's convictions and assisted him in transferring from rifleman to medical training. However, his fellow soldiers mocked him for his strict religious beliefs, particularly when they saw him reading the Bible daily and attending church every Saturday. What would you do if you were constantly ridiculed for your beliefs? Doss continuously requested to have Saturdays off instead of Sundays, so he could observe the Sabbath. Eventually, Captain Stanley took this up with divisional headquarters, leading to a decision that allowed Adventist soldiers like Doss to have Saturdays off. Ironically, this made Doss even more unpopular, as he was seen as having it easy while others worked extra duties on Sundays. One soldier summed up the general sentiment about Doss: "You get more passes than the general." Doss's strict vegetarianism, unusual for the time, fueled further distrust and hostility from his unit. One man even ominously warned him, "When we go into combat, Doss, you're not coming back alive. I'm gonna shoot you myself." Despite this hostility, Doss embraced his role as an Army combat medic, declaring, "While others are taking life, I will be saving it." But how did he go from outcast to hero? The turning point in Doss's relationship with his company came during their first 25-mile march with full packs and rifles, expected to be completed in 8 hours. The other soldiers believed Doss would have it easy without a rifle or ammo, but his 2 medical bags were nearly as heavy and much more awkward to carry. As the march progressed, many men suffered from exhaustion, blistered feet, and dehydration. Doss was always there, helping those in need. At the end of the march, he insisted on checking everyone's feet and administering medical aid where necessary. By the end of the day, he had earned the respect of his entire unit, finally being treated as one of their own. How do you think that moment changed his comrades' perceptions of him? Now a qualified combat medic, Doss was responsible for providing first aid and frontline trauma care on the battlefield. His unit's first combat experience occurred on May 11, 1943, with Doss being urgently trained to replace combat losses. The 77th Division would see action for a staggering 208 days, suffering 9,212 casualties before the war concluded. Doss's first taste of combat came at the Battle of Guam, fought from July 21st to August 10, 1944, to reclaim U.S. territory from a determined Japanese garrison of nearly 20,000 troops. Despite the Geneva Convention prohibiting targeting medics displaying clear insignia, Japanese snipers often disregarded this, viewing medics as prime targets. Doss was under fire nearly every day during this battle, busy saving lives. Can you imagine the fear and determination he felt in those moments? Guam exposed Doss to the brutality of war. On the first day, a young recruit spotted a pen on the jungle floor and rushed to pick it up, triggering a booby-trapped white phosphorus grenade. Doss miraculously stabilized the recruit's condition and helped evacuate him and 3 other wounded soldiers. What does it take to maintain your focus amid such chaos? Next, Doss and his unit participated in the Battle of Leyte in the Philippines from October 17th to December 26, 1944. This brutal battle began with a massive U.S. bombardment followed by heavy fighting. During a Japanese counterattack, fellow medic Clarence Glenn was hit while responding to a machine gunner's call for help. Doss couldn't leave his friend behind, so he and a litter bearer, Herb Schechter, went to find the wounded. How far would you go to save a friend in such a situation? While attending to the machine gunner, Doss was exposed to gunfire. They crafted an improvised litter out of a poncho and branches to transport the injured men back to the aid station. Tragically, Glenn died before reaching safety, deeply affecting Doss. From that moment on, he could no longer look at the faces of the men he treated for fear of seeing another friend. What impact do you think this had on his mental health? Constantly hungry due to the meat and the K rations conflicting with his vegetarianism, Doss survived on tasteless crackers and coconuts. At one point, while searching for fresh coconuts, he attracted enemy gunfire. Ironically, after U.S. soldiers killed the Japanese soldiers responsible for the fire, it was discovered they had been intoxicated. Lastly, Doss faced the Battle of Okinawa, which would become the bloodiest battle of the war in the Pacific and the largest amphibious landing. The U.S. aimed to secure Okinawa, just 350 miles south of the Japanese mainland, as a strategic base for future invasions. The battle commenced on April 1, 1945, 3 years to the day Doss enlisted, and lasted 81 days. Assigned to the 1st Battalion as their combat medic, Doss's unit was tasked with assaulting the Mida Escarpment, nicknamed Hacksaw Ridge. Before climbing the cargo net, Doss prayed for his comrades. How do you think prayer can influence a person's mindset in a battle? As they neared the top, they came under heavy Japanese artillery and machine gun fire, inflicting severe casualties. Wave after wave of American troops attempted to dislodge the entrenched enemy. On May 4th, while his unit attacked a fortified enemy position, Doss rushed to aid 4 injured comrades. Despite enemy grenades and gunfire, he managed to evacuate the men back to safety. Throughout the night, the Japanese launched grenades and mortar fire, forcing American soldiers to hide in rock crevices. On that chaotic night, Doss remained undeterred, risking his life repeatedly to rescue wounded soldiers. He braved enemy fire and carried each man one by one to safety, continuously returning for more, even while under heavy fire. Can you imagine having the strength to keep going when every second could mean your life? In total, Doss saved 75 men that night alone, often saying, "I can't hear you, I'm too busy saving lives." His unwavering determination and faith shone brightly. After the battle, Doss's commanding officer, Lieutenant G.A. McNaughton, cited him for bravery, stating, "He was a hero who never fired a shot." After the war, Doss's extraordinary actions were recognized, and he was awarded the Medal of Honor by President Harry S. Truman in 1945. He is the first conscientious objector to receive this prestigious award. What does this say about the nature of heroism? Is it only about taking lives, or can it also be about saving them? After the war, Doss returned home to a life by both triumph and trauma. He struggled with PTSD, like many veterans, haunted by memories of war. Yet, he continued to share his story, emphasizing the power of faith and conviction. He spent his later years advocating for peace, even as a veteran of one of the most brutal wars in history. How can someone who witnessed such horrors still promote peace and compassion? Doss passed away on March 23, 2006, at the age of 87. His legacy endures through his incredible story and the lessons we can learn from it. Desmond Doss showed us that heroism comes in many forms, not just on the battlefield, but in the choices we make every day. How can we apply his teachings in our own lives? So, what can we take from the life of Desmond Doss? His story is a testament to the power of conviction, courage, and compassion. As we reflect on his incredible journey, let's ask ourselves, how can we embody those same principles in our own lives? What acts of kindness can we choose to make a difference? If you found Desmond Doss's story as inspiring as I did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories of heroism and resilience. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. What part of Doss's journey touched you the most?